Hi, beloveds. This is Tamala, your empowerment partner, professor, and psychic, and welcome to your empowerment place. So, I'm going to check the live stream in just a minute to make sure that everything is up and running. So, Tamala, your empowerment partner, professor, and psychic, and welcome to your empowerment place. Let me mute that. I'm going to check. All right. So we are good. Yay. sorry if I clapped in the microphone. All right. So today's event is specifically to support all of the hands-off movement activities that are happening today, the sit-ins, the stand-ins, the protests, the marches, the collectives that are getting together to really support and clarify the position that those people are taking and that those of us who are supporting them are taking for the government to understand. Okay, meaning this is not about being violent. It's not about having any kind of instigation at all, and any instigators are likely to be plants. They are not likely to be the protesters themselves, because the idea of this is to just show out in numbers and clarify for our government officials how many people want them to get their heads out of their behind and start actually working for the American people and not themselves, because they have forgotten who they work for. Okay, and so they need to take their hands off of women's bodies, off of Social Security, off our finances, off of our individuation, off of our abilities to stand on our own and to embody everything that we as individuals came here to embody before we incarnated, so that we can help bring in the next higher vibration on the planet. Okay? So that's my take on what's happening. And I've got the YouTube stream on this side. So if you have any comments, when you do join, I'd like for you to say hi and tell me where you're from and what area that you're aware of that protests are happening near you. And so, like for me, I'm outside of Asheville. There are protests happening in Asheville and all over North Carolina. So my primary focus today, my first initial focus today for energetic support, is going to be in those places because they're closest to me, and I already have a resonance or a connection to the land here in North Carolina, right? I belong here. I'm a resident here. And so that's the same for you. So as we get started, I want you to really understand that as we're dropping into our heart space, and I'll lead you through that, and as you're connecting to the earth, what you're doing is you're giving your power, you're giving your connection, you're giving your agreement to the earth itself based on where you live and the communities that surround you, the state that you're a resident of. You are acknowledging your choices for that state. And as a member of that state, you get a choice, you get a vote. And when you're planting this vote into the earth in this vibrational experience that we're going to do today, when you're planting that resonance into the earth, what you're doing is you're seeding it. And as we're planting those seeds, we're going to continue to water them throughout the year. We're going to continue to water them every time we think of it, so that those seeds begin to grow, where our choices become part of what is growing in our community. through our government officials. And the way energy works is once there is a majority, which is 50% plus one, once there's a majority of energetic resonance choices that are being made, that is going to be the resonance that wins. That's going to be the one that leads. That's going to be the one that is utilized, chosen, action oriented. Okay? And so what that means is every person that we can get that's doing this work, not only protesting with their feet, right, marching, standing, sitting, going, right, all of those people are planting their seeds, their intentions, what they're choosing. And then all of us that are working energetically are also planting our choices and our resonance and our intentions. Okay. So once we hit that 50% plus one in our states, that's when we're going to see a bigger contribution towards movement towards what it is that we want. Okay. If you're in a red state, you know you're going to have to get a bunch of friends up. You're going to have to get a bunch of folks together to start doing these activities at least once a month so that we can plant the seeds in the earth, in our states, through our government officials to actually get them to start voting on things that apply to us, voting on things that we want as the majority. Okay. Hi, I'm Rita. She's in Chapel Hill. There are events happening in Chapel Hill, Durham, Pittsboro. They're everywhere. So let's just take a couple of minutes. Again, when you join, tell us where you are and any areas that you want to be supporting today, events that are happening in your state. So let's take a couple of deep breaths. And as you join, you can watch that little 2-minute slideshow that I made. I have it up on rotation so that as people join, they're able to understand how to get started and how to join us. And today we're going to plant the seeds of safety and protection, of divine love, of autonomy, of personal empowerment. So that the earth knows our intentions to have those experiences in our everyday life. Every day we want our personal empowerment. We want our autonomy. We want our safety and security. We want to be healthy and whole. And so I'm going to ask you to drop into your heart space. And for those of you that are new to this, that means you just gather your attention, your thoughts and emotions, and you call all of your attention back from all the places that it is, from your past, your present, and your future. And you gather that attention into your heart space. You may or may not feel anything, and that's okay. But primarily what we want to do is we want to get out of our heads, out of our thoughts and emotions, and into this heart space of neutrality. And that neutrality allows us to see things as they are, to receive pure energy from divine source and from the earth mother, and then to be able to send that out in a pure and precise manner. So if you have any thoughts, just let them come up and leave. If you have any emotions, also allow them to arise, be felt, acknowledged, and let them leave. And as we move through today's experience, I may mute my microphone from time to time because I tend to move energy with sound. And if that's something that you do, you also can make sounds wherever you are. You can tone, you can sing. And whatever your particular energetic gifts are, bring them online. We want to use them today because they are your specific gifts for manifesting and for creating what you want in this world. If you get lost, you can always open your eyes. You can read that little slideshow that'll direct you back into this process. And let's get started. So as your attention is all in your heart space, I want you to ground your feet. Allow roots to grow out the bottom of your feet into your land, into the place that you are. And as you allow these roots to grow, they're going to expand and anchor you safely into the present moment and into the earth plane, right where you are. You are safe, you're secure, and you're protected. And now I want you to drop down a taproot from your tailbone all the way to the center of the earth. And as you're dropping that tailbone, I want you to feel how you feel your lower body just expanding and spreading out as you become part of the planet. And once that tailbone connects deep into the center of the earth, you immediately feel all this golden white light rush up your tailbone that fills up your body and pours out the top of your head. And as you allow that golden white light to move through you, it's clearing out everything that no longer serves you. And it's filling up those empty spaces with divine love and divine protection. Now I want you to pull a cord out the crown of your head and reach all the way up to source, to creation, to the center of the universe, to God, to Goddess, to your higher power. and plug that cord right directly into that source of all goodness, all light, all truth, all unity. And as you plug it in, you feel a rush of golden white light flowing down that cord and filling your body with the sacred, powerful, cleansing, and protective energy. And just allow these energies from the Earth Mother and from Source to clear out any resistance, any contaminations, anything that no longer serves you, so that you can be powerfully in the present moment. So now as you feel this golden white light rushing in a peaceful and positive way, notice that it's filled up all the places in your body and it's poured out the top of your head. And as it's pouring out, it's filling up your emotional body, and then it's filling up your mental body, and then it begins to fill up your whole energy field. Every aspect of you is filled with this golden white light. And now let's ask for Source and Mother Earth to program this white light in the highest good of everyone who is protesting today, who is marching for freedom, for clarity, for integrity, for autonomy, for health and wellness, for community and unity. And first, we want the primary resonance to be safety and protection. And you notice that that energy now feels a little different, feels bigger and stronger. Now, I want you to hold in your heart all of the areas closest to you in your state that are having these protest events today. And once you have them in your heart, I want you to specifically send each one of them a connection string. It's just a pathway that we're going to send energy through. directly and powerfully. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to be too detail oriented. Just connect with all the events that are available. Once those connections are made, I want you to expand out that light that is pouring into you. And anything that is overflowing, that is outside your energy field, all of that is the overflow. All of that is what we're going to send to each of these places. And what's interesting about this energy is it is not divided. And that means that when you're sending to 3 different places, all 3 places get 100% of this energy. So it's not diminished. And so as you acknowledge the overflow that's pouring and pouring out into the room that you're in and out into the house or the business or the office that you're in, out into the land, out into the city or the town that you're in, and expand it out into the whole state if you're able. And as this energy expands, remember it's not your energy, this is the energy from Source and Mother Earth that has filled you up completely and that is overflowing in to all of these places. You're a conduit for this energy. And so now I want you to connect or imagine that all the places that you want to send energy to today are kind of lined up in front of you. You have your connections to them, and you're clear about this one goes there, this one goes there, this one goes there. And if you don't know where anything is, just have one for your whole state. And as you have them before you, the first thing we want to do is we want to send them divine love. And so from this overflow, I want you to begin to pulse that overflow energy into all of these places as divine love. Depending on your gifts, you may see things or hear things or feel things or know things. All of that is wonderful. But the focus is on sending this energy. You can imagine this divine love filling up all the people, all the surrounding places, the buildings, the parks, the streets, vehicles. And you begin to sense that this essence of divine love is swirling around and in every person there. We know that divine love not only creates community, but it also expels anything that is not divine love. So you can imagine or see anything that's not love moving out and away from these events. You're not pushing them. You're not having to do anything other than continue to pulse or send this divine love. I want you to stay in this divine love until you feel like there's a good bubble perimeter around all of the events that you're focusing on that is filled with this divine love. And everything that's not divine love has been removed. And if it feels hard or difficult, you can call in the angels of that area. Every place on earth has higher vibrational beings assigned to those areas. And let's call in those angels to reinforce that divine love, to help remove any resistance to the purity of divine love, to help dissolve anything that no longer serves these people, these places, these experiences. And we stand in agreement with these angels that this all can be easy, it can be peaceful, it can be effective and quick. And once you feel that space is filled with divine love, or that your angel that you've called in is handling that part, then let's begin to add in some additional resonances. And the first we're going to ask for is sacred safety. And sacred safety is a much more powerful resonance than just protection. It includes protection, but it also includes mental, emotional, physical, spiritual safety, security for all those that are standing up for what they believe is right. There's no conflict, there's no trauma or drama. It is alignment and integrity. And there's no reason to argue with it because there's no friction. It just is. And so let's call that divine safety into all of these spaces and places and peoples. So that they begin to know and experience their own sacred safety. And understand, as all this energy is moving through, this is coming from your overflow. So you're also receiving all of this divine love and sacred safety. You may experience, as you're moving this energy in, you may experience in those places things leaving. That's good. Let them go. Now let's just continue for a few moments sending this sacred safety, all the spaces and places and peoples who need it today. Now we want to call in another angel of the area to hold this sacred safety. And they're going to continue to maintain this sacred safetiness for the duration of these events and for as long as it's needed in these spaces and places and with these peoples. Now you can envision or imagine that there's two bubbles surrounding each of these events. One is this divine love. It's creating peace and harmony, unity and community, and expelling anything that is not that. And then on top of that is this sacred safety bubble, which also expels anything that is not that. And hold that vision. And if there's any spaces that seem weak or that need more support, just pour more energy into those spaces. And now, for the next little while, for as long as you can, I want you to continue to just pulse this sacred safety and divine love into these spaces and places and peoples. You want to send from your hands, from your heart, But remember, what you're sending is from the overflow. It's not yours. So you shouldn't feel drained. You should only feel empowered. As you continue to send this divine love and sacred safety out into all these spaces and places and peoples, I want you to begin to feel how the energy is shifting. How old stagnant energy is being dissolved and released, and how this new vibrant energy of safety, protection, of honoring, of unity and community is beginning to seep in to those places, into the buildings, into the ground, into the air. And as that old stagnant energy is dissolved, it just flitters away. You don't have to do anything with it. The universe knows exactly how to transform it into what's best in the situation, the place, and for the future.
You may experience some resistance within yourself, or something that feels like blockages. We're going to let those also just dissipate and rise out into the universe to be transmuted into what's best for you. We know that as within, so without. So if we want this divine love purely, we want this sacred safety to be received, we need to allow for that within ourselves. Because remember, what we're sending is from our overflow. We're filled up completely, and that overflow is what's going to all these places and spaces and peoples who need it. Now, if while you're sending this energy, you get the impression that there's something else that's needed, you can ask what it is and ask that it be inserted into the energy that you're already sending. It could be for appropriate temperatures, it could be for proper hydration and facilities. It could be support from law enforcement, support from medical staff. And continue sending that energy until that feels complete. And we're going to ask that any fiery energy be put out, because there's no need for friction or fighting. And instead, there be the sacred flow of what is right. The highest vibrational truth wins. And the highest vibrational truth is personal empowerment and autonomy. It is unity and community. And so there's no need for fighting or arguing or friction, even though this is the powerful, fiery Aries season. This particular situation doesn't require that because it contains its own power. It's the highest vibrational aspect that we can hope and intend for the human race, for autonomy, for personal empowerment, for community and unity. coming up on the 1 hour mark. So if you need to take a bio break to get something to eat or drink or go potty, now's the perfect time to do that. I'm going to mute myself for a moment. I'm going to stand up and stretch, but I'm still going to stay in the energy. If you've joined us recently, you put in the chat where you're at and where any local events are taking place, so that as a collective we can hold that resonance together, that all the different places in the US that are having these events right now, that they're all filled with divine love, that they're all filled with sacred safety. And then as we move into the second hour, we're going to add in some new resonances that are going to support and encourage. We want to maintain that resonance of sacred flow, that there's no friction or resistance, that everything is filled with ease and kindness and joy. And there's a community of all of us that know that we want the highest and best for every person in America. It's what we're focusing on today. So as we return from our bio break and we settle back in, know that the resonances, the energy that you're sending out to these places is really active, it's really helpful, it's really supportive, and that you are doing a great service by participating in these energetic services. I'm grateful you're here. I'm grateful you care. I'm grateful that you want to serve. And in serving, it's about empowering yourself and others so that all may be treated with dignity, respect, and honor. That we have autonomy and that we are personally empowered to be and do and have everything we came here to be and do and have. So, as that divine love is still being held by the angels of the areas, and that sacred safety is being held by additional angels of the areas, and those areas are filled with flow and ease and grace. Now we want to begin to slowly and quietly add in the resonance of being accurately heard. And what that means is that those that are perceiving or being aware of these events, whether inside or outside, and particularly the politicians that are involved, that they are accurately receiving the messages that these events are providing. The messages that it is no longer negotiable for things to be as they have been. That it's no longer negotiable for individuals to not have autonomy of their body, their minds, their emotions, their finances. It's no longer acceptable for anyone to be in harm's way because of who they are, who they love, how they identify, what color they are, what race, religion, their ability status, or any other differentiation. Doesn't matter because we're all human beings and we all deserve our own personal empowerment. And so, as we're bringing that in quietly over the next half hour or so, going to slowly raise the volume so that by the end of our session today, there's no choice but for those that are in power to clearly understand the intention and the result that is required through actions that they have to take. So there's no confusions to the politicians. They're on notice. And they begin to be infiltrated with this resonance of positive, unifying, in the highest good of all resonances. So let's channel that intentional energy, clarity of purpose into all of these spaces and places and peoples. Now gently turn up the volume of that resonance. Just 2 little degrees. Clarity, purpose, understanding of intention. And this resonance is going to not only feel the people and the places, but it's also going to go beyond these bubbles of protection and out into the communities in their entirety, so that no one is confused about what this is for and the results that are required. And we don't have to identify those, because the universe knows exactly what needs to happen. We're calling in the transformation through this clarity of purpose and intention. And if there's any resistance, allow that to dissolve and be transformed into the highest good for this experience. As a reminder, everything that you're sending is from your overflow. So allow all of this energy from Mother Earth and from Divine Source to just pour through you, to fill you up, your emotional body, your mental body, your physical body, your energy fields, and to pour out the top of that to fill up your room, your home, your property, your area, your city and state, and as far out as you can reach. Concentrating today on the US, you personally are feeling empowered, clear, safe, protected, abundant, thriving, centered, balanced, grounded. And this energy is doing its own work, shifting and changing all of these spaces and places and peoples. The highest intention of unity and community, personal autonomy and personal empowerment, and in the highest good. Now let's turn that volume up a little bit more. It's about 15-20% right now. Everyone's being accustomed to it, starting to feel into it and see. Feels good and juicy. And let's turn it up a little bit more to 25 to 30%. And if there's any resistance, just watch that resistance dissolve. And let's continue to pulse that energy of personal empowerment, autonomy, unity, and community out into these spaces and places and peoples. And let's turn it up to 35 to 40%. And if there's any resistance, allow that to just dissolve and move out into the universe to be transformed into whatever is the highest good for this moment, these experiences. Now gently turn that volume up to 45 and then 50%. And envision what is happening as you're flowing that overflow into these spaces and places and peoples at that 50% volume of autonomy, personal empowerment, unity, and community. Allow everything that needs to shift and transform to shift and transform with ease and grace. Once it feels comfortable or available, go ahead and turn that volume up to 55 and then 60%. That divine love and sacred safety are still intact. We're just fueling in the clarity and the purpose, being heard and acknowledged through action by those in power for personal empowerment, autonomy, community, and unity, and all that entails. And when it feels possible, raise that volume to 65 and then 70%. Clarity, awareness, alignment, and integrity. When it feels appropriate, turn that volume up to 75 and then 80%. Clarity, intention. So that there's no confusion in what's required of those in government to have our will be done. And as we're turning this volume up from 80 to 85 to 90% clarity of intention and purpose, any technologies that are in effect that could potentially harm now or in the future, any peoples that are there today in any of these spaces or places, those technologies are unable to do their work. Meaning, if they're video recorders, they can't record, there's no video footage, there's no facial recognition, there's no negative negative consequences from any of these activities today from anyone who's participating on the side of personal autonomy, personal empowerment, divine truth, community, the highest vibrational aspects of being a human being, loving our neighbor, caring for each other, fulfilling our promises to each other, honoring the good and the light. And so anything, technology that might interfere with that has been and is currently being dissolved, disposed of, disoriented, so that any footage from today has been destroyed and is unusable. And while the footage may be unusable, the message is still clearly heard and received by those in power. They must allow bodily autonomy. They must allow expressions of individuality that don't harm anyone else. They must allow reproductive rights. They must allow financial security and abundance. They must allow freedoms of choice in all aspects of the individual's personal autonomy. And each individual in the United States is personally empowered to live their highest good, their highest vibration, their highest intention for this lifetime. And as we turn that volume up to 95 and 100%, we are very clear that the messages have been heard, that there's no negative consequences for any participants in any way. And that only good shall come from these events today. Now let's spread that intention as far across the United States as we can, spreading to other cities and states, that the highest vibrational intention for these events today are heard by those in power, and those in power are motivated to change or to facilitate everything that's needed to bring into reality permanent personal autonomy around choice, around love, around marriage and commitments, around reproduction, around finances, around health and wellness, around protecting the earth and clean air and clean water, and all the aspects of the human experience that require integrity, that require and support community, and that are for divine wisdom and divine love. And as we flood this across the US, know that only good can come from today. And as this overflow energy continues to pour out across the US, you feel refreshed and complete. You feel relaxed and joyful as this overflow continues to fill up all the cities and states in the US, whether they have events today or not. there's any resistance, allow it to be dissolved, for the universe to transform it into the highest support. All the fear is released. All the greediness is loosened. All the misunderstandings are clarified. And now let's begin to station angels on the four corners of the United States boundaries. And these angels are assigned to hold sacred safety and divine love throughout the entirety of the United States country. We're going to place one in the south, and the furthest to the south. We're going to place one furthest to the north. And they're going to be on the right side and on the left side. So the four corners are covered. And now we're going to add two in the middle. one at the top and one at the bottom. And we're going to include any islands or any, like Alaska and Hawaii, any territories like Puerto Rico. We're going to include all of those in the purview of these angels. And for now, through the next 4-year election cycle, these angels are going to hold this divine love and sacred safety for all the places and all the spaces and all the peoples that are in the United States. And all the people have to do to receive that sacred safety and all the blessings that come with the divine love, all they have to do is receive it. And so let's send out a wave of that understanding that they just have to receive it. They don't have to earn it, be worthy of it. They just need to receive it. And the divine love and the sacred safety, which includes protection, comes as a pair. And they can't be separated from one another. And so, as one receives the safety and protection, they're also receiving the divine love for themselves and others. Now, in the sky above the United States, we're going to call in a violet flame. And that violet flame is going to help recalibrate, restore, transform all of the negativity that is released from all the peoples and the places and the spaces in the United States. All that's going to be released now and in the future. All that negativity will just release and move into that violet flame and be transformed into the highest good for that moment, in that time, in that place, for those people. And it will immediately rain down upon them so that there's no absence, no lack. They are full and complete And this will happen 24/7 for the next 4 years without ceasing in every space, every territory, every state. And now let's offer gratitude to this violet flame for all the powerful work that it's doing and that it's going to do. And let's offer gratitude to these 6 angels that have been assigned to hold sacred safety and divine love that spreads in every place and space and person in the whole United States. Let's offer gratitude to Mother Earth for all the golden white light that she shared to keep people safe, to honor integrity, and thank her for receiving those seeds that we've planted and ask her to help them grow and flourish so that all peoples who walk the planet have all they need and all they want and all their heart desires, and they fulfill their soul purpose for this lifetime. Now let's offer gratitude to Source, Creator, to God and Goddess, to the universe, to your higher power who has been filling you with this resonances and overflowing into all these spaces and places. We ask that Source, Creator, and Mother Earth continue to flow this resonance to all these spaces and places. As we ask to be released so that we can move back into our present moment, into our lives, still remaining filled full to overflowing with all the gifts of the day. As you begin to gather yourself back into your home, back into your body, back into your mind and emotions, you can begin to stretch and move around, wiggle your fingers and toes, and allow your consciousness to fully return to your physical body. as you come back into your physical body, into this space where you are, know that I am so grateful for you for participating today, for providing these powerful and needed energetic resources to serve all the people that were out there today, and to all the people in the United States who weren't there, couldn't be there, didn't want to be there, because everyone deserves the opportunity to really understand divine love and sacred safety. Because when we know those things, we can only live those things, because they provide us with such safety and security, such knowing of who we are and how we want to live, that nothing else is negotiable. We don't need to fight for anything. We don't need to struggle for anything. We don't need to sacrifice for anything, because we are full, we're whole and complete. We live in unity with ourselves, our source, creator, the Mother Earth, and we live community with those around us, sharing safe, simple, and united in the cause that all beings are created as source beings, and they deserve to know who they are, which is the powerful creator of their own experience. I know this has been helpful for the world, for everything that we plant, for ourselves, and for our places. It also helps the entirety of the planet. I'm grateful for you. If you're watching this afterwards, it's fine. The energy is still going to work. You can still incorporate this into all of the events that are happening in later time zones. Share this with folks that want to participate or can. And it's a good practice if you've never done this kind of thing before. It's a good practice for you to sit down, rewatch, and experience yourself going through the process. Okay? So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, I'm reading. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. I love you all, and I will see you next time.